Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have the secretary perform roll call attendance, please.
Mr. Angelos?
Here.
Mr. Freeman?
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Mr. Crosby? Here. Mr. Cloud?
Here. Okay. All right, all the board members received the minutes from the secretary for the September 19th meeting. If there's no discussion, entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved. I'll second that.
Okay, motion's made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our first item on the agenda this evening is discussion regarding Myers Run LLC subdivision.
Good evening. We reviewed the resolution that we sent this morning and have no issues with it.
Okay.
Just identify yourself.
Oh, Michelle Zerfisberger Engineering, and with me is Michael Lunn, the applicant.
Okay. All right. So with that, I guess we're just here tonight to vote on the resolution. So everybody has a copy of it. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution as drafted.
I would just add one condition, which is creation of a drainage district. And they've submitted an application for that.
Okay, so that'd be a condition J.
Yes.
Okay.
So creation of a drainage district by the town board.
Okay. Okay, so with the creation, they need to create a drainage district, so again, put it out there, somebody wants to make a motion to approve it as amended.
So moved. I'll second that.
All right, motion's made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay. The next item on the agenda this evening is Iguardo Subdivision on Ketchum Town Road. Hey, good evening.
Bill, have you seen that? Okay.
I did not see that.
Okay.
It's WHP. All right.
Should move that over, yeah, there you go.
All right. This is a 35.2 acre parcel on Ketchum Town Road. We were in about 2 months ago, just going through conceptual. We now submitted a formal subdivision application to divide the parcel into 2 lots. Both lots are equally sized at 17.4 acres. So here's the frontage on Ketchum Town Road. There is an existing wetland that loops around, DBC wetland. What we're proposing is a common driveway that will come off Ketchum Town Road across the wetlands, and then it would split from the 18-foot wide common driveway to two 12-foot driveways to provide access to each of the homes. There's about a 12-acre portion of land in the center of the property where the houses are proposed. And that's up above the wetlands and outside of any buffer. So we do know we need to go to DEC for a wetland disturbance permit for crossing the wetlands in the front. And that would be in this area here. Each house will be provided with an individual well and septic system.
Okay. The wetlands, you've already had these mapped by Mike Nowicki?
Yep, they're mapped by Mike Nowicki. They were validated by the DEC.
Okay.
And there's been already conversations with the DEC, and that happened before we proposed the application because we wanted to make sure this was something that they would entertain. And it is, and based on those conversations, we feel we have a favorable path.
Okay. The only reason I'm bringing this up too is that the planner is unable to be here tonight. I believe that he had some questions, I believe, from Mike regarding the layout of the wetlands. I don't know if it's possible that he could reach out to him just to discuss the issues.
Sure.
I don't think it was put onto the review memo. I was just told about it tonight.
And we do have a wetland validation map that DEC signed off on.
Okay, yeah. All right. But that's also, it's DEC and Army Corps as
Yep.
well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And town.
Yeah, and town, right, correct. Okay. All right. I guess we got a couple, you did get the review letter from both CPL
Yep.
and from the planner's office as well. Obviously, Malcolm's not here tonight. I know Barbara did speak to him prior.
Yes.
Other than the wetland marking questions?
Other
did
than that, he wanted to speak to Mike Nowicki about it, so he felt a phone call would be the best way to handle
Sure.
it. And then, as far as looking to do a lead agency.
Yeah, I was going to get to that
Right,
part too.
that's the only things that Malcolm had.
That Malcolm was saying,
Otherwise, he's
right.
good.
Providing a coordinator to review. Okay. John, do you have any?
Yeah, we have, a bunch of comments. The most, I guess, important ones have to do with the drainage design. We'd like to see some calculations to make sure that the stormwater features that they're proposing are sized adequately, especially the pipe, the main pipe beneath the driveway that's going to maintain wetland connectivity. And I believe the DEC is going to ask for that anyway. So those are the major items.
Okay.
Excuse me one second. Bill, are you showing the driveway separately as well as common?
That didn't make it into the application, but we have it.
Okay, I'm just looking over Malcolm's review, and I didn't see that on the map.
Yeah, there's plenty of frontage and land to do two separate driveways, basically side by side along the center property line between the two lots. But keeping them together, we're minimizing the disturbance, minimizing impervious surfaces, and we're consolidating the disturbed area through the
18 feet, so it should be fine.
And you'll show that on
Yes.
the
Yeah.
next submission?
Yeah, it's just,
Plenty of room, yeah.
yeah, just, but laying two separate ones
Right,
out.
we can-
Again, that just has to do with the,
That'll be in the next submission for sure.
yeah, just the wordage of the town code.
Yep,
And site distance?
yep, that's on the plan now.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then the only other thing, I guess with the entrance regarding, I guess the letter from the neighbor regarding the structure, I guess that's the only thing, Jim, if that's going to stay.
Well, that's, so there's a couple of things in the agreement, and is Rod representing?
Yes.
So maybe you, me, and Rod could have a discussion. Because one of the things is that I think this agreement, does it convey an offer, a right of first refusal or an offer to purchase the land around the garage? I mean, I think one of the things as part of this application, if all the parties could agree to move the lot line, to put the garage on their property and put this to bed forever, as part of the subdivision, I mean, that may have some issues with respect to the driveway configuration, but for purposes of, resolving this issue. In looking at the map, the only
But
thing
we need to look into this further, because this is the first I'm hearing of this.
no, I mean, like I
Again,
said,
this
this
is,
came up.
I'm bringing it up tonight only because, like I said,
Because it's my-
normally we wouldn't bring it up because this was only submitted at 5 o'clock.
Right, because it's
This even shouldn't even be bothered to be discussed this tonight,
Right.
But again, it was thrown out here in front of us, so I just wanted to get some opinion, at least the board members are aware of what's going on with this, whether or not something has to be changed, because that's my concern too, is if, now if you're conveying property from one to the other, how does that affect the two flags? Because you have to
that's
have a
right.
minimum, you have to have the minimum frontage on the road for the flag.
Right.
So, or for the flagpole portion of it, so is it going to diminish it down where you're below the minimum requirement? Or do we have to, well, there's more property to the east, correct? But then you're into more disturbance into the wetland?
Well, I'm not prepared to really say that would even be the case.
Yeah, no, I'm just, I understand.
Well, the other property doesn't have frontage on, the other side of the Bozeman property doesn't have access to Ketchumtown Road, so.
What's that?
But there, I guess the one question is, there's an easement here to, I guess to the Power Authority, New York State Power Authority. One question would be, is it possible to put a driveway in there, within that easement?
I believe that the way that reads, that is possible.
So, so I think that, the agreement that is listed now, that settled the prior litigation, has a, it's for the life of the current owners and their children. So theoretically, there is an easement on the property, which isn't shown here and would have to be shown.
Correct.
So, we either show that easement, and I don't think for purposes of our code, I don't really think for the width of the flag, I don't think the easement actually, in this case, because of the nature of this easement, I don't think it really detracts from the width of the flag that's required.
Right.
I'd have to go back and look at it again as far as what it means, but, I mean, I know that there's, I mean, theoretically, you could maybe make the problem is our flag provision goes back for a certain distance. I can't recall off the top of my head do you remember how far back it goes? The width of the flag has to be a certain amount.
I think it needs to be 50 feet from the road to where it opens to the lot.
The whole length.
The whole length has to be 50 feet.
Correct.
So, right now it's showing 60 feet, but that's not. So
That structure seems to be right next to the proposed driveway.
Looks like it's in the proposed driveway.
What's that?
It may even be in the proposed driveway.
Yeah.
And is there enough room to push the driveway? It doesn't appear because you have that other easement right there.
Well, I think that was the question, and Bill had indicated that it is possible to put the driveway in that easement. So,
How big is that garage? About.
It's small, I'm not quite sure.
Like a
I said
shed
maybe
garage?
15 by 15. I had to throw the dart at it.
Yeah, obviously you have a little homework to do on this issue before.
Well, it's, yeah, we'll go back and get further information, but it's the applicants and new owners understanding that he purchased it free and clear. So,
Okay.
You know, based on title and so forth. So,
Right.
We'll have to go back and.
Have to go and check into this. All right. With that, I mean, obviously you have to take care of that issue. I mean, obviously it's been recommended that we do this as a, coordinated review. There should be no issue with circulating for lead agency at this time? Jim?
I
Okay.
don't recall any.
No? Okay. All right, so why don't we do that and just get the process, keep it moving at this
Yep.
point? Obviously, you have a little homework to do. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and authorize the secretary to circulate for lead agency.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, so we'll keep that going at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you have to look into this. Like, again, this is just something that was dropped on us at the, at the last minute, so,
Me too.
yeah. So you want to go ahead and, I guess, work through that, and then we'll await your next submission.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Soon they found it. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, so our next item on the agenda this evening is Mid-Hudson Islamic Association amended site plan and lot line consolidation.
Good evening. For the record, my name is John Andrews. I am a New York State licensed professional engineer, and I am a principal with the firm of Rhodey, Soika, and Andrews in Poughkeepsie, New York. I am here on behalf of the Mid-Hudson Islamic Association. It's actually my first time in front of this board, believe it or not, and I've been in this business a lot of years. Be gentle, please. The first item in front of you is the Mid-Hudson Islamic Association owns 4 individual tax parcels. The first is on Myers Corners Road. It's the Imam's house. Adjacent to that, there's a little parcel that's described on the deed separately as a tax parcel, but there's nothing on it. The next parcel I think you're all familiar with is the mosque. That's at All Angels Hill Road. And then the association bought a number of years ago the parcel next door, 133 All Angels Hill Road. It is their desire to combine these all into one parcel, eliminating the various lot lines and ending up with an overall 17.13 thereabouts acre parcel, consolidating all their lands. The second half of this is probably the driving reason for, it's not a big driving reason, but it is the driving reason. What they would like to do is 2 things at this point in time. One, adjacent to the mosque, there's a paved area. I think historically there's been a tent on it. What they would like to do is actually convert that tent to a pavilion. My mistake, I said tent, this was a misinterpretation. It's an open-sided pavilion with a solid roof that they would like to enclose that area. Eliminating the lot lines, they have no setback issues. They're internal to the property. The second half is, there's a nice field on All Angels Hill, the parcel next door, and it's immediately adjacent to their existing parking lot. Some of their events, most of their events, there is a need for overflow parking. So what they would like to do is create a stabilized gravel area in approximately 120 by 100, just an item 4 gravel surface to be used on an as-needed basis as overflow parking. It kind of helps things, because my understanding is that they park along the road, they park in a lot of spaces, and this would allow them to better control their event parking. I was advised tonight they'd like to put a little hook on that. They're contemplating a small basketball court for use of their members. And as a consequence, what they'd like to do is, adjacent to that gravel area, put in a paved basketball court. It's probably dimensioning is probably about 50 by 100, standard basketball court.
Half or full.
I think it would probably end up being a smaller court, but I've got to work those details out with my client. To be blunt, we got the engineer's comments. There's nothing in there that we find problematic or we can't handle. We'd be more than happy to handle them. The one thing that I would ask that jumped out at me at his comments, we provided you with 5-foot contours. Your requirement is for 2-foot contours. I would ask that you consider waiving the requirement for 2-foot contours, given the fact that at this juncture, we're using an existing paved area. We're not doing any real disturbance there. And then all we're doing is adding a gravel topping to an already relatively flat section of a field, if you will. So that would be our request, and I think that's our proposal, and I'll entertain any questions.
Okay. No, off the top of my head, now, being that there's a pavilion as opposed to the tent, is there any plan for it, what it's going to look like?
They were working on that. I expected to have something, but next time we appear in front of you, we will have an appearance of that pavilion. It's probably going to be open-sided, kind of wood with a peaked roof to kind of mimic, the look of the existing structure that's next to it, the mosque. So,
Okay.
But we'll have more details, more complete, and my apologies.
Okay. All right. Any of the board members have any questions?
The gravel parking lot, is that, I can't really picture where it's going to be, because I know there's a lot of low-lying land there.
Actually, this kind of raises, this
Yeah,
is
it
kind of
goes
near
up
the
the
top of the hill. So if you were to drive up to the mosque and go to your right, there's an existing parking lot. If you were to look just to the south, there was a little tree line. It's kind of a sparse tree
So it's
line.
not in any of the low-lying stuff?
No, it's going to be right, and it's going to be up near the top of the hill, so I don't think anybody's even going to see it, sir.
Anybody else? Good.
Yeah.
All right. Any staff have any questions or concerns?
No, as Mr. Andrews stated, the code does require that topo be showed at 2-foot contours. They are showing 5-foot contours, and for what they're proposing and where, I think that's acceptable. So if the board is comfortable, they can probably consider waiving that requirement.
All right. Okay. So at this juncture, let's start with the first item, I guess, just waiving the requirement of the code, waiving the 2-foot requirement for contours. I entertain a motion to waive those requirements.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, welcome. So now being we're consolidating the 4 lots into one, we need to set a public hearing date. With that, it falls back to you to how long you would need before you feel you'd be ready to come back. Because at that point, we would need the pavilion, what it's going to look like.
You're going to
right?
want to do a public hearing covering both sets of items, one would assume.
Right, correct.
Okay.
I'll give you
I'm not sure what your submittal dates are, but we'd like it as soon as possible.
Yep, that's the secretary to, what's the submittal for the 17th? That's already probably,
That's passed.
like, yeah.
So the submittal would have been tonight for the 7th of November, so the next one we're looking at is November 21st. Submittal date October 17th.
October 17th, we'll take it.
Yep,
No,
hold on.
Sorry.
today's the last submittal date for November 7th. So if it comes after, technically, it would be the second meeting in November, which is...
Right, which would be the 21st of November.
21st. But for the 7th, how soon, I mean, it's minor things. You want to see
Yeah.
what the pavilion looks like. If you could submit it within a week, I think that's more than enough time to circulate, because you don't have engineering really. Malcolm probably wants to just see architecturally what it looks like, as well as this board.
The only thing I'm going to do, quite honestly, is change the designation from tent to pavilion, provide you with a detail of the pavilion, and show the basketball court and its sizing and its surface. So if you need that within a week, I can do that.
So if he does that in a week, I think,
Okay,
it's up to the board, but I think if he brought that in by next week is the 10th, there's a 5th week in October,
yeah,
so you would still have 4
I'll
weeks
still have time.
before the 7th. I
Yeah.
think that's enough time to do a public hearing and get the information.
Okay, I will
right.
diary this to come into you on the 10th at about noontime, if that's not inconvenient.
okay. So we're looking, all right, so then we're looking to set the public hearing for November the 7th.
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
so
I was...
you're good, November the 7th, you're good with. All right, so I entertain a motion to set it for November the 7th.
So move.
Second by,
Second?
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
I must, for the record, with me tonight is Ahmed Shah. Mr. Shah is the representative of Mid-Hudson Islamic Association, and he asked me a question while you were talking. I apologized because I was trying to listen to two people at once. But he's looking at accelerating this. I think you've done the best you can, but they really want to put that gravel down. So I know it pains me, but I have to ask, can he put the
Okay.
gravel down, or should we wait?
So, okay, so here's, we're kind of in a sticky point. It's, yeah, I do, best we could do is if you make that submission, because again, it is very minor. And I'll leave it up to the rest of the board, how you guys feel. We can authorize the planner to draft a resolution
Okay.
to vote on for the 7th. And if there's no issues from the public, we can authorize we can actually vote on the resolution the same night, give it an approval, and then they can start work once the conditions of the approval are met.
After November 7th.
Yeah.
Maybe too late because the snow comes, then we might not be able to.
Well-
You still got time.
The pavement companies, if you're even doing pavement
Yeah.
doesn't usually close till
Not
December.
really just putting gravel.
Yeah, you put gravel.
You can do that anytime up until it snows, actually.
Yeah.
And I've actually had clients put in the snow. But that's not the best way to do it. All right, thank you very much.
Wait. Are you-
So, yeah, so that's what, so if that'll work for you, then we'll go ahead. I'll make somebody wants to make a motion to authorize have the planner draft a resolution of approval
So moved.
pending the outcome of the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion made, say all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And we'll address Mr. Bodendorf's comments in our next submission as well. Most of them are just
Okay.
dotting the I and crossing the Ts.
Yep.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
folks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good evening. All right. Okay, so now we're down to the end of the agenda. Is there anything else that the board wishes to discuss this evening? Okay, no? All right, seeing that there's none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We're adjourned.